Okay, fine, folks. So we'll go to the session today. We'll see various features of Python. Okay, how we can use Python with big data, and most preferably why Python. Okay, why you should go for Python? Why Python is so much hot and popular these days, and what are the various features which makes it as a hot cake? Okay, literally, I'll say it's a hot cake today. Fine, guys. So let's go ahead. So folks, the agenda of today's session is like why Python is so much popular, and we'll see various demos and implementation which shows like why it's really very so much popular. Okay, and also we'll see where it can be used for performing analytics, performing some automation activity. Also finally we'll see how we can use the Python data frames, in other words Python pandas, in our day-to-day analytics career or uh, analytics work or all the tasks. Okay, so folks, as everyone, as you know, like Python's biggest strength is it's highly portable. Okay, so you just write your code, whether irrespective of the operating system, whether it's a Windows, Macintosh, or Unix-based system, it's going to run without any issues. Okay, the reason being at the backend it creates a PYC and PYO file. Okay, with a compiled file and an object file, which helps us to do so. Okay, that makes it one feature of the Python, which makes it very much highly popular. Okay, it is also having few libraries like PyDoop and SciPy. Okay, so once you use that, you'll really come to know why the Python is so much popular. Okay, why is so much robust and powerful. Okay, so folks, you can see over the time how the interest in Python over of the industry had went high. Okay, and in case you know the Python, or in case the Python is mentioned in your resume, any projects related to Python is mentioned in your resume, the hit for your resume goes very high. Okay, and also of course you're paid very highly compared to the other folks who does not know Python. Okay, reason being Python lies very closely with the big data. Once you put big data Hadoop and you want to do some activity of cleansing, or write some UDFs, or perform some activity which is very core to the analytics, we can do pretty easily with Python. Okay, we'll see once we go through the session, we'll see various examples for the same. Fine. So folks, we'll see now one of the demo. So fine, guys. So folks, will see a demo where we'll perform, we'll scrap a website, okay, get relevant information out of it, and if required, we'll do further analysis on top of it. Fine, that is the secondary phase. The first phase, of course, is the scrapping of the website. Now, folks, there is a there is a liner I will add. Of course, you should do this activity on discretion of your own. You should not go for scrapping of any bank site or this kind of site which is having confidential data. So of course the law will be applicable to you in case you're doing that kind of activity. Okay, anyhow folks, will go to the IMDb site. Okay, and in the IMDb site we perform the web scraping activity and get various data out of it. Fine, folks, so let's go ahead. Okay, so folks, you can see I am using a UI or interface for doing the programming called named PyCharm. Okay, so guys, it's highly popular, and the advantage of using PyCharm is you can see how easily I can manage my code. Okay, I'm having so many files here, so many Python files. I can create project very easily. I can compile all these things, put in a single file. All this stuff we can do pretty easily, and code maintenance becomes very easily. Putting breakpoints or performing testing is very easily using the PyCharm. Okay, so guys, once you join the course, okay, we'll show you what are the various features of PyCharm, how it makes our life pretty easily, the Python programming career life. Okay, so guys, now see the web scraping activity of IMDb site. So folks, what I have done here is I have done a search operation. Okay, so on the IMDb site, I have performed a search for feature films starting from 2005 to 2014. Okay, and I have selected for action. Okay, action genre. So no, not only action. Apart from action, I can have many other genres also, which will which will help my analysis much better. Okay, Fine. So guys, you can see here on the top, I'm having the Dark Knight, which was released in 2008. It's having an IMDb ranking of 9. Director was Christopher Nolan. Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Aaron Eckhart. They have worked in this movie. It's of genre action, crime, drama. Okay, and it's of 152 minutes. So I'm having so much of relevant information. I'll scrap all these things using my code. Okay, and we'll see in the output screen. So this is my code here. Let's execute it. So this is so you can see it's pretty easy to execute the code. Just right click, go to run. That's it. Program will start executing. So guys, it's fetching the data real time from the website. Okay, folks, we have got the output here. Hey, Karan. I guess you have a question. So folks, you have any question, just type in the question window. I'll answer you them. Okay, so guys, you can see here I have got various information, relevant information from the website. So the Dark Knight is all, as usual, is on the top based on the ranking. Okay, then you can see genre, action, crime, drama. I'm able to scrap it out. Runtime I have scrapped it, then rating I have scrapped it, and of course the image source. If I click on this image link, it will go directly and open the image of the movie for me. Okay, so I have got 2 questions from Krish and Ravi. So Krish and Ravi, just hold for a few moments. I'll get back to your questions. Fine. So guys, what is the logic behind getting this information? Okay, how I have done it. Okay, I'll just go through very brief. At this moment, I'll not go in detail of the code. Okay, so in our course, we are going in detail bits and pieces of the code. At this moment, I'll just give you the logic how I'm doing it. I'll just right click it, inspect element. Okay, you can see here I'm having title. Okay, so title, what is the title? Dark Knight. So fine, and next after that I do have the user rating here. Hey Rachit, yeah, of course I can provide you all this stuff. Okay, so don't worry about the presentation or other things. I'll provide you all this stuff. Okay, fine. Hey guys, you can see here I'm having the rating here 9.9, 9.9, all these things. So I have captured this thing 9.0 from this particular part of the Knight here, from here, the Dark Knight from here. All these things were the 152 minutes you can see here. I have captured it from here and put it on the output screen. That was at the overview level. That is the logic behind this code. Fine. So guys, I'm having a question from Krish. How's the job market for Python programmer? So Krish, job market for Python programmer is really good. So I'll add one more line here. If you know big data along with Python, so it's like one scoop of ice cream on top of your fruit salad. It's becomes, your profile becomes really a very high profile, and it's like it's highly assumed that you'll be going to be a highly paid employee once you have the skills. So if you know Python plus big data plus analytics, these 3 things, you know, it's really your career is going to boom very highly. And I'll move to next question from Ravi. Okay, that's great, Krish. Thanks. Okay, does IMDb expose some public APIs which are allowing us to extract the data? Ravi, I have looked for that few days back. At this moment, I'm not able to recall whether IMDb is providing some public APIs or not. Okay, but until and unless I'm having this particular facility, I can scrap any of the websites. Okay. It doesn't matter the particular site is giving me API or not giving me API. I can go and do it. Okay, but of course Facebook and Twitter is giving the APIs for getting the data out of them. Okay, so in next few moments I'll show you one of the examples where I'm getting data out of the Twitter. Okay, and doing some analytics on a particular keyword which will be giving during the execution of the code. Just I'll give you just one single spot which will help you track what I'm doing out here. This is the URL which I'm using. So I'm using the URL lib2 package and URL open function method out of it to read the URL into read HTML. Fine. Okay, I think you got it. That's great. Yeah. So guys, Rajan had put a very good question. Python also runs a single system like R. Okay. So Rajan, it's a very good question. Okay, so why I'll tell you. See, Python, you can make it scalable. Okay, so Python has a feature of scalability. You can write your MapReduce code using Python. Okay, whereas in case you are going to use R, you will not get that feature. Okay, that is the main advantage of using Python over R. So guys, this is my next demo. So here what I'm going to do is I'll just I'll accept two keywords, okay, from the keyboard, and based on the keywords I'll perform a search on the Twitter, on the latest tweets in the Twitter, okay. And in this case, guys, I'm using the Twitter API. Okay, I'm logging into Twitter using the access key or access API which I have created, and I'll get obtain the information out of the Twitter. So it's asking enter search words, separate them by comma. Guys, do you prefer any keywords which you want me to search using this code from Twitter? Okay, I got IPL, I got Python. Okay, Python itself, fine. So, but one thing, Umesh and Yogesh, I doubt how many guys perform tweeting using the Python keyword. Okay, it might take long time to get the tweets using the Python keyword. So I'll go for some popular keywords, maybe Obama and Modi. Okay, let's see how it comes up. Okay, because these are very popular keywords. People often keep on tweeting about them. So yeah, now next input is enter tweets to be pulled for each search word. So I'll give it 10 here. Okay. Yeah, so let it execute. Hey Sujit, we can of course use request module. Its operations are almost similar to URL lib. And guys, to add on one more point, okay, why Python is so much robust and popular, reason being same tasks can be done multiple ways, different ways. Okay, there are so many packages available, so many features in each of these packages, which gives us this opportunity. We can of course use the request package in place of URL lib, and also you can use URL lib too. Okay, there is one more package in place of URL lib. So these are the options available with us to perform to reading the website. Okay. Next, the question I am having from Shailendra: what is the advantage of Python over MapReduce and R? Okay. So Shailendra, I will add a point here. Like your question is not fully correct. Reason being, Python works very well with MapReduce, but as a language there is, and as a concept there is no such difference like Python versus MapReduce. Okay, but we can always use Python along with MapReduce, which makes very much highly powerful compared to using it with R. Okay, so that is the stuff. Okay, fine. I think Shailendra, you got it. Okay, it made sense to you. Fine. Meanwhile, I'll move to the next question from Harshit. Is Beautiful Soup some inbuilt function? So Harshit, no Harshit, Beautiful Soup is not a built-in function, but it is a package available inside Python, which allows us to perform scraping of websites. So guys, to give you an overview, there are some various packages which helps us to perform web scraping. Like we have Scrappy, Beautiful Soup, and there are these are the most popular. There are of course few others. Okay. So using them, which we can use to perform the web scraping. Fine. So I'm having a question from Ravi. I am from Java background, so I am trying to understand runtime environment of Python. Does Python need anything like JVM server to run? Ravi, okay, it does not require any kind of JVM or other kind of virtual machine kind of stuff. Python does not requires that. Okay. So so that is the advantage. One more advantage I can see: Python versus Java. It does not use any such thing at the back end. Okay, fine. So Sundar is asking Python versus Java, which one is reliable? Okay, fine guys. So I got many questions. Just hold on, guys. I'll answer everyone's queries. So Python versus Java. So Sundar, see, I'll give you scenarios where Python works pretty well. Java is quite difficult out there. One of the scenarios is, see, if you go for performing the analytics. Okay, so analytics package is very powerful in Python. Whereas if you want to perform the same tasks in Java, you have to write a lot of code. Okay, you have to write a lot of lines of code for writing that. Okay, and of course the code maintenance become very horrible, pretty much difficult if you perform the same thing compared to Python. Okay, So that is the one of the main differences. Okay, fine. And one more thing, guys, Python is the interpreted language, whereas Java is not interpreted language. Okay, so these things are there. So there are a lot of different things out of stuff, Python versus Java. But I'll tell, for if I'm going for big data and analytics, Python is one of the cream languages. You should always go for it. And if you know Python, it's a value add to your resume. So Harshit is having a query. Can Python also scrap information from Microsoft Excel? Guys, this is a very good question from Harshit. Okay, so Harshit is asking, can we scrap out information from Microsoft Excel? So Harshit, I'll tell you one approach. Okay, I don't have to go for scrapping Microsoft Excel. Rather, what I'll do, I'll take it as a CSV file and I'll put it into Python Pandas, read it as a data frame, and within milliseconds I can perform all my operations. Okay, so that's it. So there is a package called Pandas which makes our life pretty easy in this kind of problems. Okay, so I'll show you a small example using Pandas also. Guys, how do we run in production packages development on some runtime environment? Ravi, this is a very in detail question. So maybe once you join the course, we can discuss in detail all these things. Okay, so we are having few of the sessions regarding same. Okay. Whether Python is useful for marketing guy to do marketing research, how easy to take analysis. Yeah, Rajiv, Python is the best for analytics, and whether it's for data scientist, for a marketing analyst, for anyone, is the best for analytics. Okay, one of the best languages. Next I move to the yeah, of course, as I told you, if you have a very big data set, okay, and if you want to compare Python versus R, the big data set R does not work well, because reason being R takes everything into memory, in memory operation in a single system, whereas Python you can pretty easily scale it on top of Hadoop using Python your code. Okay, so Rajiv, you have to put a little bit of effort. You can learn pretty easily. In case you know any other programming languages, so the life is your life will be pretty easy while learning the Python. Okay, you will enjoy it, of course. Fine. Hey guys, so what I have done is I have typed Maggie as the keyword, and I have pulled out three recent tweets. Okay, and based on the three tweets, the overall sentiment is semi-positive based on the three tweets only. Okay, guys, and if I go back to my disk, so you can see I'm drawing this figure. Okay, it's a neutral. Okay, it's neutral. That's why it's semi-positive. It has been shown as. So this is the overall diagram which I'm getting using the code. It's generated. This diagram is generated dynamically, guys, using the code. So in our course, we'll discuss in detail how we're doing all this stuff. Fine. Okay, so LSK is having a question. Can you please mention applications developed in Python for big data? LSK, at this moment I'm not able to recall the application name, but of course there are Google is utilizing Python very highly, and all the product companies, you name it, all the product companies are going for the Python. Okay, YouTube is using Python. Entire core engine of YouTube is built on top of Python. Then your Amazon, then all the good product companies, they're going for Python, going behind the Python. That is for sure. Next is I'm having a question from Karan. Statistics analysis taught as part of this course. So guys, if my answers making sense to you, just put a note. It will be helpful for me. So I'm moving to the next question meanwhile. That's great, LSK. Okay. Karan, okay. Karan, in this course, we'll be touching the very basics of how we can perform analytics, how we can use scikit-learn. There's a package called scikit-learn, how we can use it. Okay, we are having two sessions where we'll be discussing analytics, but I'll add one more point. Analytics is an ocean. Within two sessions, we can only touch the introductory part. Okay, so for very in detail data scientist course, there are the separate courses in Edureka. You can of course go through them, but for introduction, this is the best part. Okay. Fine, Harshit. I'll move to the next question. Okay, Rajan is asking how much programming background required for Python. So Rajan, as I told a few moments back, there is a huge programming expertise is not required. If you understand loops, statements, okay, data types, data structures. You can pretty easily pick it up. Fine. I move to the next question from Shubhajit. I just want to understand one thing. For doing data analysis in Hadoop framework, we can use Java, SQL-like language, Hive, or scripting like Python, Perl, etc. Can we give me one example stating which technique is useful under which scenario? Subhajit, yeah, sure. And I'll add one more point here. If you join in the course, okay, we are discussing in detail, okay, all these things. Whatever question you asked, everything is covered in the course in very detail. I can give you points at very short level at this moment. Reason being, I am having a lot of questions to answer out here. How much of NumPy and SciPy will be covered, Yogesh? Yeah, NumPy and SciPy will be covered, which like the things, the ND array, okay, NumPy, then performing the matrix multiplications and all this stuff will cover, and not only this, many other functions that we are doing it in this course, Yogesh, using NumPy. And for SciPy, of course, various equation solving and algebra operations, all these things we will cover out here. Fine, Yogesh. Hope it's make sense to you. So Rajan is asking, is this course beneficial for Hadoop admin? So so Rajan, I'm not sure, I'm not able to get what is your question, Rajan. So you are asking whether you are asking is Python beneficial for Hadoop admin, or what is your question, Rajan? So Karan is asking, do you conduct any case studies as part of this course? Yeah, of course, Karan, there are multiple case studies. So once you join the course, of course, you can drop like support team will be there along with me. They can guide you what are the various projects are there. And once you finish the course, apart from the projects which are taught in the class, okay, in the class, Karan, okay, just I will come to your next question also. Okay, so apart from that, multiple other projects will be given to you, which you have to solve. Okay, so there are a lot of things, lot of projects, lot of examples, so don't worry about all this stuff. Okay. Okay, fine, that's really great, Karan. Thanks for the compliment, Karan. Fine. So I missed a question from Subhajit. I just want to understand one thing. For doing data analysis in Hadoop framework, can you use? Okay, so Subhajit is asking when to go for Java, when to go for Hive, when to go for Pig, when to go for Python, all these things. Okay, it's a pretty good question. Okay, when I take the classes, this is the thing which I repeatedly say to the learners. Okay, so Subhajit, okay, suppose there are various phases of performing data analytics. Okay, the first phase is data cleansing. So guys, this is a very important topic which I'm telling to you, just focus on that. So the first phase is data cleansing. In case your data is highly unstructured, okay, and you want to cleanse your data so that you can make some structure out of it, so that you can take your data for further processing, okay, then go for the MapReduce. Okay, I repeat, go for the MapReduce when your data is highly unstructured and you want to perform the data cleansing activity. Okay, and so MapReduce you can write in any language. There is no hard and fast rule. So also Python is also good for writing your MapReduce job. Okay. Next question I will move, when to use SQL. So guys, when you have to perform some data warehousing or some joins, okay, you have some operations where joins are very critical for your activity. Okay, go for Hive tables, because in Hive the joins are pretty efficient, highly efficient, I will say. There also, on top of the joins, you have the partitions, bucketing, and multiple other features which makes your life pretty easy using the Hive. Next is when to use Pig. When guys, if you're going to perform ETL, okay, transport loading, export transport loading, then go for Pig. Pig is a good language for that. I hope, Subhajit, I answered your question. I'm moving to the other questions. Can we use the same for prediction of data on basis of analysis using Python itself? Yeah, LSK, you can do end-to-end everything using Python. Okay, so guys, if you hold your queries for a few moments, okay, I'll not be able to show you the examples. Okay, fine, guys. Okay, thanks, Subhajit. Okay, guys, we have seen the Twitter one. Okay, so folks, I assume everyone knows what is big data. Okay, so as the name says, big data. Data is very huge. Okay, so it's petabytes, like thousands and GBs of petabytes are coming. Okay, data is very huge. This is a problem. Now, how we can resolve it? Then only all these technologies are coming into picture. Hadoop, Spark, then Python, all these things comes together. Okay, and fine. So everyone knows that data is getting generated very highly, reason being the devices, the personal devices which we everyone use, every second, every millisecond, each device is generating some or the other kind of information. All the apps are collecting all this information, and they are doing some kind of analytics on top of it. That's why the Hadoop is so much popular nowadays. Okay, so guys, we do have Hadoop for big data. So now, guys, what is a Hadoop? So guys, Hadoop is a Apache framework, okay, and it's a distributed framework. So there are two very core components to Hadoop. One is the HDFS, which is a distributed file system storage. Okay, this is a storage on top of which a computation is done. So computation is done through the MapReduce. Okay, so I'll not go in detail at this moment into MapReduce and other stuff. Okay, anyhow, in our course we'll be covering like various phases of MapReduce, blah, blah, all this stuff. Okay, so at this moment I'm just I'll focusing more on the demo stuff. So Karan will not be covering very in detail in Hadoop, but of course we'll cover that much that you can easily pick it up what is at least Hadoop and in which areas Python can be used. That is what is the main agenda of this course. Our focus is more into Python. So here it comes, the two core components. We have Hadoop, HDFS we do have, and we have the MapReduce. So HDFS is storage, on top of which the processing is performed by MapReduce. Okay, so in HDFS, data is distributed across nodes, natively redundant name nodes, tracks, locations, whereas in MRV2, okay, so that is called Hadoop version 2.0. This feature is a little bit different, okay, not exactly same. There are additional features which came into picture, so I'm not going into that at this moment. So next we do have Karan, I'll come to your question, just hold on for a few moments. So I do have, we can perform the processing using MapReduce. So MapReduce, it is basically a paradigm, is a distributed distributed processing framework which helps us to perform, which helps us to scale our operations very highly into multiple nodes at the same time, and very efficiently the operations can be done very fast. Okay. Then we do have why. Okay, now guys, we have seen a little bit of big data, how the Hadoop, what are the main components of Hadoop. Now, why Python is so much popular with big data? That's a main critical part which I want to focus on. So you can say, as I told you, folks, like data cleansing, data preparation, or writing MapReduce using Python, then leveraging analytical power of Python on big data set. So guys, I'll show you 4 demos out here. The first demo is to, like, I'm having a very complex JSON file. Out of the JSON file, I want to cleanse my data in a non-big data way and get the relevant information out of it, okay, or in other words, pre-process the data to get the relevant information out of it. So I will use Python to extract information out of my JSON. So and also I am having one more example where I'll be using NLTK, guys. I think you know natural language processing. Okay, so in case you are going to perform text analytics, so Python is having a library for performing the text analytics. The name is NLTK. So in NLTK, or in other words, in text analytics, there is a phase called stop word removal. Stop word, I repeat it, stop word removal. Okay, now guys, you might ask, what is the stop word removal? So so for example, I'll just give you a scenario. What is stop word removal? So okay, this is the VM which I'm using. Anyhow, Edureka will provide you the VM, so nothing to worry about the VM. Guys, just hold on for a few moments. I'll come to your questions. Okay, so guys, I think you might be knowing there is a novel called War and Peace. So I just took one chapter of War and Peace, okay, on top of which So this chapter 3 I have taken. So guys, you can see there are multiple words like a, the, okay, and though, all these things, okay, the, a. So these words that does not make any sense inside a particular paragraph, okay. So as part of the text analytics process, it is always preferred to remove this kind of words out of your paragraph, out of input text, so that you can make some relevant information or some relevant meaning out of it, okay, during your further processing phases. That's why this text, this stop word removal phase is there, performed in this thing in your text analytics. And along with that, there are multiple other things, like you can do stemming, you can do lemmatization, multiple other steps are there. So folks, at this moment we'll see stop word removal using MapReduce. So guys, I emphasize using MapReduce. I'll show you NLTK library. Okay, it's pretty much interesting, guys. So let's go to the examples. So folks, I'll show you my JSON file also. Guys, you can see my JSON file. Out of this, I want to extract the ID and type, okay, for each kind of batter. Okay, so I will extract this and I'll try to put it in some kind of format. Fine. Okay, so let me go to the Python prompt. So this is a Python interpreter. I mean, inside the Python interpreter now, guys, inside Ubuntu Linux. Yeah, guys, just hold on your questions. I'll come back to that. So just let me execute this code. So guys, one more thing, in Python you have to take care of the indentations very highly. So you can see I am giving indentation very properly after wherever required. Now I am having the for loop. There is no braces or everything or anything like that after the for loop. Only through the indentation it marks all these things. Okay, so you have to take care of the indentation very highly. Guys, I'll come to your question. Just hold on. Within the next few moments, the code will be executed. Oops, you can see, guys, there was some indentation error because of which the so guys, here we go. Okay, I have extracted data out of my JSON, complex JSON. I am having all the types and ID we're using a space separated in my output screen. Okay, so this is the way pretty easily we can parse very complex JSONs and get the output on our screen. Okay, so guys, now I'll answer one of the questions one by one. Okay, Karan, as I already told you, like you can integrate everything, structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data. Okay, perform analytics of that pretty easily using Python. Okay, so like I already mentioned that earlier. So what difference between analytics like text analytics, speech analytics, visual analytics, Python supports text analytics. So guys, using analytical library, you can perform it pretty easily. Speech analytics, there are multiple packages available. Okay. So guys, there is a package called speech recognition. Okay, okay, that is one of the thing, and there is one more package called Dragonfly. Okay, these are for speech recognition, guys. So I have used it. Okay, in my environments, and these are pretty good. Okay, their conversion rates are very high. Then visual analytics. So guys, Python is not having very high support for visual analytics. Okay, like image or video processing. So I'll not prefer to go for Python using that. Next we have one more question, similar question, LSK. I think I have answered your question, exactly same as Karan. What is the scope of big data analysis? Shikhar, can you explain your elaborate query a little bit? I am not able to understand that. Okay, okay, Rajan, like this is the ID, and this is the our type. So as I already shown you my JSON file. Okay, this is my JSON file. This is my JSON file. You can see this is the ID of 1001 and regular. Okay, I hope it's making sense. So you can see it's regular here and it's 1001. Exactly same, all the things are there one by one till the end of the JSON file. Hi Chandresh. What is the advantage of Python in big data analysis? Why not Java or other language? So Shikhar, I guess I have explained it multiple times. Still, I'll cover it. Nothing to bother about it. How is big data jobs in India? Thank you. Okay, Krish, big data jobs are like, as I already told you, big data analytics, and these are like cream. Okay, so that's it. If you have really done some production work, your salary is going to boom very highly. Okay. Okay, Rajan, we are not. What is the main agenda out here is I am extracting my JSON file. Okay, I am getting data out of my JSON file. I am parsing my JSON file to obtain relevant information out of it. So this is a sample where I have shown you if my JSON looks like this. I am taking out ID and type out of this and putting into the output screen. Of course, as per your requirement, you can always change it. It might happen that in your case the JSON looks different. That time the logic you have to write it differently. That is the thing out here, Rajan. Fine, Rajan, making sense? Okay. Yeah. So Rajan, guys, any questions regarding this program? Okay, Karan, fine. Just hold on, Karan. And Krishna, regarding word count program using Hadoop. Not only word count, as I told you, I'll show you NLTK also. So it's pretty much advanced code. I'll show that one also. So nothing to bother about that. So guys, this is a non-big data way of doing it. There is no MapReduce involved in that. As I already told you, I'll be using the MapReduce in my other code, not in this. This is a non-big data way of parsing the JSON file. So guys, I hope, I assume that everyone knows what is JSON file. Guys, does anyone don't know what is JSON file? Okay, folks, anyone else? Okay, fine, guys. So guys, JSON is like it stands for JavaScript object notation. Okay, JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So guys, this is one of the very popular file formats through which you can perform data exchange from one system to another. Okay, so I guess you know what is XML. Okay, so like due to time constraint, I will not be able to explain in detail what is JSON and XML, but just for this moment, keep this in mind. Like it is a format which is used for data exchange between systems. JSON is very highly popular. It is beating XML, okay, very highly. Reason being, in XML I have to store XSD also. XSD is a definition. So definition takes additional storage for storing the XSD. Whereas in JSON, I don't have to specifically additionally store the structure separately. Okay, that is the benefit of JSON over XML. I guess hope it's making sense to you. So that is the thing. So like guys who have a little bit of knowledge about analytics, okay, they can easily make it out. What was okay, Rajan, just hold on, Rajan. Fine. So guys, folks, okay, I think Rajan, you moved from the earlier question to the new one. Just hold on, okay. So guys, this was the example. So in our real time also, our data file will be similar to like this, or might be more complex or less complex than in this. So out of this entire file, we would require to get some information which will be interest for us, so that we can take it upward to my next phase of analytics. Okay. During that thing, I'll do our data cleansing or data pre-processing. Okay, and you'll get our output like this. Fine. Now I know regular is something like 1001, chocolate is 1002, blueberry is 1003, blah blah, all these things. So I can take this data into my next phases and to perform some additional step of analytics on top of it. So this is just a sample, guys. So like this, you can have various scenarios. Fine. Once you join the course, we'll discuss in detail everything regarding this stuff. Fine, guys. Hope it's making sense to you. I'll move ahead. So Hadoop admin will use Python in some way. Yeah, of course, Rajan. In Hadoop admin, you can use Python for performing the automation activity. And not only in Hadoop admin, any kind of admin activity, whether server admin, database admin, or any kind of admin activity, day-to-day mundane tasks, you can perform automation using Python. Fine, guys. I'll go ahead. So, fine. Okay. Now I'm having word count using Hadoop streaming. So guys, I'm executing a code now. Okay, I'll not go in detail into it. Okay, as I'm reiterating, everything is very in detail, very highly in a very detailed manner discussed in our course. Just join the course, you'll get everything. So Rajan, as I told you, this is the type and this is the ID. You can see here I have extracted the type here. Type is regular, fine, and ID is 1001. Okay. So once you go for the analytics, you have to always perform this kind of data cleansing, data pre-processing. So my agenda was to get the ID and type out of my JSON file, print it on the screen, okay, output screen. Fine, guys. So I'll go ahead. Rajan, if you have any question, you can print it, type it there on the screen. Okay, so guys, I am executing my map reduce, which is written in Python to perform the word count. Okay, and here my input is this particular stuff here. Here one file is there. I'll show you what file is there, and my output will be stored in this location. Okay, so guys, now I'll give you Hadoop commands. Okay. Fine. So I have to start my Hadoop in the VM. So guys, it might happen that I have missed some of your question. Just retype it in case I have missed anyone's question. In case if I have already answered, please try to avoid asking the same question. It will save our time. So guys, let me check. Yeah, everything is running quite fine, and my input is out here. So I'll see what our input is. I'll show you. So guys, you can see our input here. Fine. And what is the meaning of this input? I have put it inside our code. I'll show you that one also. Okay. So guys, the first field is the stadium name. Next field is stadium capacity. Third is stadium capacity, standing capacity. How much we can how much folks can sit and how much can stand and see. That is the thing. Next is location where it's situated stadium. Then playing surface. Okay, whether it's grass or some artificial grass or something, sand or something like that. Next is artificial turf. Okay, so I'm having one field true saying true and false. You can see here false. This part is false. Okay, that means this is not an artificial turf but a natural turf. In my next record I am having true. This is the meaning of that. Okay, next I am having the name of the home team. Okay, name of the home team for that particular stadium. Next we have the opened, when it was opened, that particular stadium. How is the weather for the next match? Then excuse me, then we have station roof type. How is the roof type of the stadium? Okay, whether it's movable or it's fixed or something like that. Okay, then elevation, how much is the elevation? Yeah, Karan, of course. Okay, for getting a in detail understanding, of course you should join the session. Reason being, I'm touching everything out here. Okay, it will not be possible for us to cover in detail here. Okay, so join the course. Okay, where we are covering this in very high detail. Okay, guys, now our code is executing. You can see I'm having map and reduce getting started executed. Okay, 0% map and reduce 0%. Then how Python can be used for text mining effectively using Ornest tools. Raja, can you explain what do you mean by Ornest tools? I'm not able to get that part. Okay, Shikhar is asking what should I do to become a big data analyst for after my graduation. Shikhar, once you complete your graduation, if you okay, just first you start with Python. Parallel to that, start some big data course. Okay, and that will be good, I think. Okay, and of course, whatever you do it with passion, so that you pick up the things very well and good. Okay, so that will be my advice to you. Next, does Python support statistical analysis like correlation, regression, and data mining funda like associative? Yeah, of course, Karan. Okay, there is a package called scikit-learn which support all these features very highly. Okay, so like correlation, regression, data mining, all these things is there in very pretty in detail in scikit-learn package. Okay, we'll be covering the scikit-learn in our course. Okay. Fine. So guys, if I have missed anything, just retype your question. So guys, our code have executed. Let's see our output. Cat. So Raja, see a tuple is immutable, lists are mutable. Okay, that's like pretty simple stuff. Okay, Raja. Hope it's making sense to you. See, LSK, I'll come to your question. Just hold on. So here we go. I'm having the output false is 15, true is 17. So guys, what was our like why I executed this code was I was counting how many trues are there in my input file and how many false are there in my input file for the field is artificial turf. Okay, is artificial turf. So I was counting how many turfs are artificial, how many are natural. Okay, so my output is coming false is 15, so that means natural is 15, and true, that means artificial is 17. Fine. So this kind of information will help us in performing in taking many decisions. For example, suppose I am the organizer of a particular event, football event, then using this information I can do some planning or do some analysis, do some further analytics on top of it. Okay, and guys, so Raja, hope I made sense to you using my last answer. Any tools or package for constraint-based data mining in Python? I don't find any constraint, guys, for data mining in Python. LSK, I don't find any constraint. I have used for pretty much long time. I have not got any constraint. Okay, fine, guys. We'll move to our next demo. Okay, so guys, I'll execute my excuse me. Okay, so here is my NLTK, which I was telling you, stopward removal, NLTK plus map reduce. So guys, for NLTK, I have already shown you the war and peace text file. That input I have taken it out here. You can see I have taken the input as war and peace text file, and this is my output location, and we'll go and see what is the output comes up once the code execution is over. Meanwhile, I answer LSK's Shikhar's question: what software tool are available for big data analytics? Shikhar, there are a lot of tools or softwares are available. More than 30 or 35 like that softwares are available. So if I start naming, I think I'll not be able to finish. So most popular are the go for the Cloudera distribution, go for autonomous distribution of Hadoop. Okay, and also the Mapper is pretty good, guys. So guys, now we'll see the output. This is my output. Okay, I'm doing a cat for my output. So guys, these are all this command which I have given. These are all Hadoop commands. Okay. So once you join the course, I'll explain you how these things comes up. Okay. So folks, you can see here all the stopwords have been removed, and this is the final output coming. Okay, in the Hadoop location. Fine, guys. Now this is a step for data pre-processing or data cleansing. After this, I can go for the steps. Okay. So what machine learning does Python supports? So Karan, as I told you, Python supports supervised, semi-supervised, unsupervised, everything end to end. All the algorithms are there in Python. Okay, so nothing to worry about your which machine learning algorithm. Everything is there. Okay. Python needed for machine learning? Yeah, of course, Rajan. Python is very good for machine learning. What is a good for learn a good book for Python? I want to learn Hadoop too, but very confused how to proceed. Provide some advice. Rupa Manjuri, just do one thing. Yeah, Raja. Okay, of course you will get the presentation and other stuff. Nothing to bother about that. So Rupa, you do one thing. Start reading the Python and Hadoop parallelly. Okay. So of course, as there is an old saying, practice makes you perfect. Keep doing the practice without losing your focus. You will of course be expert. Okay, within a very short span of time. So I have seen many people doing that. You can also do it, Rupa Manjuri. Fine, guys. So let's go ahead. Yeah. So guys, we have seen the word count. Then now this NLTK and multiple examples you have seen. And guys, similar to there is one more package called PyDoop. Okay. So Chandesh, you can continue with the question. I'll come back to that. Okay, you can type it in the window. So guys, we have PyDoop, we have MRJob, like that. Multiple packages are there, which helps us to execute the MapReduce using Python. Okay, so we have already seen one of the ways to execute Python using Hadoop streaming of Python, and this is the other way called using the PyDoop package. Okay, so this is much more advanced than the earlier one which you have seen. Okay, so what are the advanced features and everything we'll discuss in detail in our course. Okay, guys, using what are the advantages of using PyDoop. Yeah, Rajan, PyDoop is free. So guys, I will grab a glass of water. Give me a few seconds. Okay, guys, there is one more demo. So I guess one of the questions where you can use Python in the Hadoop ecosystem. This is one of the places, one more place where I can use Python, like writing the UDFs. So guys, in case you don't know what is UDF, UDF is user-defined function. So all the ecosystem components like Hive and Python, they provide some inbuilt functionality. Okay, so now in your production environment or in your use case, there is some requirement which is not available inbuilt. Okay, then you can easily go for the UDF, user-defined functions. So you can write your logic out there in the user-defined functions and use it with Hive and Pig pretty easily. So I'll show you an example where I'm using Hive UDF. I'll show you an Hive UDF. What is the why I'm writing this code? I'll convert a column, okay, a column in Hive table, which is in Unix date format, okay, and I'll convert it into week of day. Week of day means it can be one is for your Sunday, two is for Monday, like that. It will continue till Saturday. Okay. Fine, guys. So I'll execute it for you. Okay, this is my file where the UDF code is written. Fine. So before that, I'll log into the Hive. Just typing the Hive here. Okay, thanks, Rajan. Thanks a lot. Appreciate for your time. Okay. Guys, in next 17 minutes, I'll close my session. So I want to show you as many as demo as possible. Okay. So guys, of course, you can type your queries out there. I'll answer it. So I have added my file, the file which is having the logic of the Hive UDF. Okay, and this is the way through which I will use my Hive UDF inside the Hive query. Fine, and I'll open one more terminal. Okay, here also I'll log into Hive. Okay, I have logged into Hive. So, and I'll just do a select star from this table. Okay, so guys, you can see I'm getting my output in the form of 1 to 7, the last column. Okay, last column is the area where we need to focus, and select star from u underscore data, and I'll give limit and 10. Fine. So if I do it, so guys, just note the last column. My last column is in the form of Unix format, a Unix date. Sorry, so Unix date. So I've used my UDF to convert the Unix date into day of the week. Okay, fine, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, Python Analytica on Hadoop. We have already seen this. Fine. Yeah, Umesh, of course I can show you. So guys, Umesh wants to, like, I'll show you what is the logic behind the code which I have written. Okay, I'll just, this is my file. Okay, guys, this is my code. Fine. So the main area where the logic is implemented is this. So datetime from timestamp. So float Unix time I'm converting into is week of day. Okay, fine. Like that, multiple functions and multiple functionalities are there which you can implement as per your need of the use case. Okay, fine, Umesh. I hope it made sense to you. So I'm going ahead. Okay, thanks, Umesh. So guys, Python and data science. So Python is the language which lies very close to the data scientists. Okay, you can write your data analytics code pretty easily, perform the analytics pretty easily using Python. Like packages like scikit-learn, NumPy, SciPy, and we do have pandas. Okay, all these are very highly used to perform the analytics. So guys, as you can see in this cartoon, so data scientist, the sexiest job of the 21st century. Okay, so like data scientists are very highly paid. Okay, there's no doubt about that. And you can see Python is an excellent choice for data scientists to do his day-to-day activities, as it provides a lot of libraries. I have already told you the library names. LSK, just type your question once again because the window pops up. Okay, your question would have went up. I could not see it. Okay, so very shortly I'll come to your question again. Just give me a few moments. So next is Python has a diverse range of open source libraries for just about everything that a data scientist has to do in his day-to-day work, and Python is of course open source and it's free. Okay, guys. So guys, these are the Python packages which is very highly used. NumPy, SciPy, as I already told you, Matplotlib. We do have IPython, SymPy, and Pandas. Okay. So guys, NumPy, it's used for your basic numerical operations like perform some logs, or perform some cos, sine, all these things pretty easily you can do it. Then we do have SciPy. Suppose you have to do some get the output of some differential equation. So if you do it in pen or paper or write some a code of your own, it would take a lot of time. Whereas if you use these inbuilt functions, inbuilt packages, your life will be pretty much easier. Okay. Then we do have Matplotlib. So guys, Matplotlib is also there in R. Okay, is exactly having the same feature of the Matplotlib which is there in R in Python. Okay, so we can draw our figures, graphs pretty easily using one command in Matplotlib. Okay, next we do have IPython. IPython is just similar to PyCharm to write your code, but of course this is a interpreted one. Okay, it looks like an interpreter. Okay, it does not allow you to write multiple codes in a single shot, multiple lines of code in a single shot. Then we do have SymPy. SymPy is for performing symbolic mathematics. Okay, so there are a few of the things which is called symbolic mathematics. SymPy helps us in that. We do have Pandas to perform data structure and data analysis. So guys, you will see a very good example of Pandas very shortly. Meanwhile, I am having few questions and I answered that. Okay, I am left with very less time. Okay, so guys, just I recommend don't repeat the questions which I have already answered. So using Python, can we push constraint into data streams and fetch relevant data? Is there any easy way like a package or tool for pushing user constraint? uh, LSK, can you give me one example of what do you mean by user constraint in your question? Okay. Meanwhile, I'll go to Karan's question. Karan is asking, do we require to learn big data along with Python? It's good, Karan, if you know both of the things. It makes your resume much more much more good, better compared to the other folks. Okay. So Python versus tools like SPSS, SAS, Miner. Okay, so guys, SPSS, SAS. So folks, if you know the license cost of SPSS and SAS, like companies whatever revenue they get, most of the amount they keep it reserved for the license cost of SAS, SPSS, this kind of tool. But whereas RapidMiner is pretty much cheaper. But guys, RapidMiner is not so much like it's not a proven tool at this moment, but Python is already proven tool. Maybe after 6 months or 1 year we can tell whether okay RapidMiner is really good or not, or it's a stable product or not. Okay, because people are using RapidMiner, there are multiple pros and cons of using the RapidMiner tool. Then excuse me, how is Python supported in case you are using it to implement a solution using Python for an enterprise? So you are asking about the Python support framework. Okay, so current Python is free and open source. Okay, there is no as such support model for Python. Current lot of companies, every company is using Python for this thing. You take any captive unit, you take any investment banking unit, you take any retail solution or e-commerce company, or you take any hospitals, or you take any banks, everyone is using the Python for doing the analytics current. So okay, LSK, I got your question. Yeah, so okay. So, LSK, so I guess you heard about MongoDB, right? So there is a package called PyMongo, using which you can pretty easily implement this kind of constraint which you are telling it, okay, and get your data out of it, like item constraint, length constraint, other constraints, all these things, okay. So LSK, I hope it's making sense to you. So guys, I will just go ahead. I am left with very short 8 minutes. Okay, great. So guys, we'll see the data frames. Okay, so I have covered a use case using data frames. Okay, so guys, for example, I'm having some data from IMDb, and out of that data I need to find the top 5 rated movies, top 5 movies that are rated across age groups, like for example 0 to 20, 20 to 40, like that, 20 to 30 or 30 to 40, like that. In the age groups, the top movies, if you have to see how you can see that. Next we have find on which movies do women and men most disagree on. Okay, so I'm having a code for that. I'll exceed it for you. Okay, so guys, this is my code. Fine guys, you can see the movie Star Wars 1977, 580 people have voted for it. Next we have Contact, Fargo, okay, and Return of the Jedi. These are the there is last one is Liar Liar. So this is the pattern in which this movie, based on the whatever input I have given, based on the input had done the analytics and given the output on the screen. So guys, you can see how good the output looks like. The graphs and everything is pretty good. Okay. So guys, this is the next graph which I'm having based on the age group. What is the highest voted movie? Okay. So this is Birdcage, Braveheart, Conspiracy Theory, Contact, Dead Man Walking. Okay. So color code had been given for each age group, and accordingly, this is the rating is there on the screen using the graph. Fine, guys. Now I'll see my final graph. Yeah. So guys, this is a pivoted diagram which I'm getting, where the women's and the men's disagree are shown. The down part, the woman has been shown, and the up part, the men's disagree part has been shown. So in okay, and also I printed all the movie names out here. Okay, this is the movie name, and female disagree with that, male disagree with that, all this blah blah, all this stuff is there. Yeah, fine guys. Okay, folks, I got a question from Karan. Can Python be integrated with Tableau for better visualization? Can we write Python output to database? Of course, Karan, you can write Python output to database. Okay, you can write it to Oracle database, MySQL or SQL Server, any of the database. Packages are already available for that. You can do your analytics and write your data directly into database, or you can store it into Hadoop. Whatever you want to do, you can do that. Any storage system you can put it, or even you can put it in the local file system. LSK, yeah, those graphs are drawn using the matplotlib, which I told you a few moments back. The matplotlib package helped me to draw those diagrams. So this is the import part. So you can see import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. So using this, I'm drawing all these diagrams. So I'll just take 3 more questions. So will you be covering the libraries as you mentioned for NLTK, Scikit as part of course? Current Scikit is the thing which you are discussing in our course. There is a specific session for Scikit-learn, SciPy, NumPy, all these things. Okay. Okay, Krish. Yeah, sure, Krish. I can show you the graph. If you don't mind, could you please share the PPT and demo code of your reference? Sure, LSK. I can do that. Okay, Gaurav is asking difference between NoSQL and Hadoop. So guys, for like I'll tell you guys, folks, what is the difference between NoSQL and Hadoop. So guys, NoSQL, see, Hadoop is a batch processing system. Okay, Hadoop is a batch processing system. If you give your query to Hadoop, it will go for MapReduce execution. It will take a lot of time of execution and give you the output. That means it will take from 10 minutes or maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you don't know. Okay, based on the resources available to you, it will take its time and perform the execution and give the output. So for all batch processing, the Hadoop framework is used. Whereas in case you have some real-time system, okay, for example, a ticket booking website, okay, or an e-commerce website like Flipkart or something like that, then in those website, if you're going for search operation, okay, those are real-time systems. Okay, there you cannot put Hadoop. Okay, because as I already told you, Hadoop is batch processing. So for in those scenarios, you have to go for real-time systems, and NoSQL is the best fit for those kind of systems. Okay, so you have to go for NoSQL in those scenarios like ticket booking sites or e-commerce sites. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks a lot. Okay, thanks for attending the session. So hope I'll see you, every one of you, in once I take the classes, take the session. Okay, it was great interacting with all of you. Fine. Thanks guys. Thanks a lot. See you.